Illinois faces risk of junk status after voters reject tax on rich. All right, a little bit of a biased headline there. Illinois voters defeated a measure that would have allowed the state to raise taxes on its wealthiest residents, striking down a pillar of Governor Snakey McGakey's plan for shoring up the state's finances and preventing its debt from being cut to junk. The failure of the constitutional amendment that would have scrapped the flat income tax by a vote of 55% against sent the prices of Illinois' bonds tumbling, with those due in 2034 down about 7%. The costly campaign ended in a win for Citadel founder Ken Griffin, who spent $54 million to fund the opposition, while Pritzker, the billionaire heir, of course, they're always an opposite. They're always rich kids. The heir of the Hyatt Hotel empire gave $58 million in support. John Ossoff, Beto O'Rourke, Pritzker, all the same thing. The citizens of Illinois have delivered a clear message to our political leaders, says Griffin, the billionaire head of the Chicago-based hedge fund. Now is the time to enact long overdue reforms to save our state from fiscal ruin. The loss adds a new challenge to the Democratic governor's efforts to steady the finances of Illinois, whose rising pension fund costs and chronic budget shortfalls left it with the lowest bond ratings among U.S. states even before the pandemic. Failure of the measure won't automatically trigger a downgrade to junk. The three major rating companies all consider Illinois the lowest of investment grade, but instead they'll be watching for the state's backup plan. There will be cuts, and they'll be painful, he said during a press conference. Without the additional revenue from the graduated income tax, the state will look at various options, including cuts potentially for public safety, education, and health services, and may have to rely on its regressive tax system for more revenue. If approved, it doesn't matter if it was approved. I love how they say it would enact legislation to apply higher rates to incomes over 250, raising levies on the highest earners, but it doesn't say it was an index, and it was actually retroactive. So the first dollar that you made was taxed at the highest marginal bracket. It's freaking nuts. Even with the graduated income tax failure, Illinois has other options, said. Alternatives include more borrowing, tapping the Federal Reserve's municipal liquidity facility for a second time, cutting spending or raising revenue with sales tax, and a higher flat income tax. Previously, Pritzker said budget cuts of 15% over 2 years or potentially borrowing from the Fed are possible if the amendment failed and no more federal aid comes through. Well, there might be now with Sniffy Joe in there if he can cheat his way to the presidency. While the fair tax would have helped to address our crisis with the least damage to the working families of Illinois, the millionaires and billionaires oppose it to protect their own wallets. Yeah, okay. The business closures due to COVID-19 have added to the fiscal challenges. Yeah, while Pritzker was able to go, his wife went to Florida. I think didn't Pritzker, his daughter or something like that, go to Wisconsin where he said everybody else had a shelter in place? In this election, the Illinois voters sent a resounding message that with an $8 billion deficit, 2 massive tax hikes in the last 10 years, we cannot trust Springfield. Exactly. All right, so let's see how this. Illinois has about $8.3 billion of unpaid bills, some $137 billion of unfunded liabilities, pension liabilities. And its rainy day fund has just $68,000. With the bond market demanding high penalties to own its debt, is one of two that borrowed from the emergency lending facility the Federal Reserve rolled out over the pandemic. It's a net loser in the preliminary Illinois is a net loser in the preliminary aftermath of the election, says a guy who manages some money. He cited the lack of an expected blue wave and the graduated tax failure because they wanted a blue wave to bail out these insane states, and it didn't happen. I don't think the agencies have an itchy trigger finger. I think they're going to give the state a little bit of time. All that being said, the state is definitely on the clock for the rating agencies. I tell you what, man, I wouldn't buy Illinois' debt to save my life. No way. But you got to do what you got to do. Good luck, Illinois. I will see you.